Hello and welcome. I am Julia with American Frontline Nurses, and thank you for joining us today on Ask the Nurses. We've got a very special guest today, and it's something that's dear and near to my heart because what she's gone through the last 20 years, I am feeling like I am starting to go through these things now. So when she offered to come on our podcast to share her experience, I'm like, yes, we absolutely have to have you on. And I've got Jess on with us as well. I'm going to introduce Nicole. She goes by Nicky Dolsky. She is a RN as well. And she just recently, I believe 6 months ago, had her breast implant taken out. So we're going to talk about breast implant illness and the things that people go through and what happens with that. It's kind of very interesting. So we're going to go ahead and bring Nicky on now.
Hi, ladies.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All righty. I'm trying to move a couple of things because my computer is wanting to not like me right now. And I'm trying to figure out what is going on. So I apologize. We've had computer issues today. So I apologize for taking a little bit long. If you could, Nicky, if you could just give us a little, if you could introduce your situation of what exactly happened. How did you make the connection between the issues that you were having for years and that it was actually breast implant illness?
Okay, so it took me quite a while because I actually got my implants put in 22 years ago while I was in nursing school. So when I began to get symptoms, I just excused it away as I'm not sleeping a lot. I'm stressed out with school. I actually got married, got engaged, got married, bought my first house, and got pregnant all while I was in nursing school. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and had the augmentation in the midst of all of that before I got married. So I had so much going on. I think there was always a reason to believe something else was causing my symptoms. You know, the headaches were from stress, the fatigue was from my schedule. And then, of course, just being pregnant while in nursing school is a whole nother hurdle. And after I had my child, of course, then I had other excuses because I had a newborn and I hadn't even been able to take the NCLEX yet, because when I tried doing the simulation of one, I was getting Braxton Hicks contractions. So I had to wait almost a year after she was born, like 9 months, to take my boards. And again, I had so much on my plate that there was always a reason for my symptoms. And at that point, back in 2000 when I got them, which that picture is actually at my bridal shower. So
I was just going to ask, it looks like it was some kind of a wedding or something. I was going to ask where you were at in this picture.
Yeah, so I was in my dad's backyard at a surprise bridal shower, and that was back in 2000. And it was probably about, only I would think 4 to 5 months after my augmentation. So at that point, I was still feeling very good in the sense that even when I didn't feel good, I felt like I looked good now. You know, my one issue was always, I had low self-esteem most of my life. So I feel like I always thought, even when I was thin, that my thighs were too big, and then even when my weight got better and I was what the world would call skinny, my breasts were too small. This is the time of Baywatch and Pamela Anderson on the swimsuit on the beach, and so there was just always something else to live up to. So struggling with that, I decided I'm going to look into implants. And mostly it was because of, I was working at a bank at the time, and I worked with another girl who had just had implants put in. And so I feel like she kind of opened the door to make me think, oh, well, if she did it and she looks that nice afterwards, maybe it's not so, strange for me to consider. I will say my fiance, now husband, 22 years, was not very into the idea. He just thought I was fine the way I was. I didn't need to have that procedure or spend that kind of money on myself when he thought I looked beautiful as I was. So I was grateful for that. But at the same point, I think he also realized, well, we're not married yet. I really shouldn't tell her what she can do or can't do, you know?
Yeah. I know when I had mine done, my husband was like, you don't need to do that. But, is that, it's the whole thing. It's, I'd lost a lot of weight. And so I was, it was one of those things that it was my confidence builder for me. But now I'm like making the connection of the different things like the insomnia and the different things that I've got going on now that, it makes it tough. It makes it really tough.
For sure. Yeah. And for me, as much as I'm grateful he let me make that choice, he did make it clear that he wasn't at all thinking I needed to do that. But at the same point, he said, if you really want to do this and it's going to make you feel better about yourself, then go ahead. And honestly, between, so there was that friend that I worked with, and then I went to nursing school with another girl who had implants. And she also was kind of whispering in my ear, kind of like, you'll be happier. And I'm so happy since I got mine done. And just was trying to be a good friend. But I was thinking about this as I was preparing for, this tonight's podcast. I was actually trying on my wedding dress. And I remember the lady saying something like, it fits you like a glove. It was like a size 2. She's like, it fits you like a glove everywhere except in your breasts. So how many pads would you like me to put in? And I know this sweet older woman wasn't trying to like hurt me with her words. But as I went home, I just kept thinking, gosh, it's so sad that my dress fits me great everywhere, but my breasts are not up to par. And so I had her put some pads in. And then oddly enough, when I went back to retry it on, I had the augmentation, and it was really fitted on the top now because I actually had bigger breasts. And she's like, did something change? And I don't remember if I told her or not. I think at that point I was still kind of embarrassed to talk about it, or almost, I don't want to say ashamed, but private, where now I don't mind. I share it with whoever will listen. But I would say that those two friends in my life at the time who had augmentations and seemed very happy with results, and then that sweet older woman helping me with my dress just led me down that path. And I actually remember we took like breaks from our clinicals. We rotated hospitals, the groups. And so it was my group's like 2-week off break. And I remember going to the surgeon's office, and literally they make you like book the appointment while you're there, because I think they know you'll change your mind.
Oh yeah, they definitely do.
So I remember just like being forced to put down a payment, and I believe it was like within 10 days I was having surgery. And I remember even driving out to the hospital, and I saw some of the other nursing students, because it was their time on while mine was off at this hospital, and I saw them walking through the parking lot, and I just remember telling the nurse, absolutely I do not want any nursing students allowed to watch my procedure today. Because that's what they were there for, to watch surgeries. And I thought, I don't want them seeing me that intimately. So I remember signing a form that I could not have any nursing students in with me. And then I actually had, like a week to recover after the surgery. So again, with everything else I had going on in my life, because there was so much going on at that point, I never really put 2 and 2 together until probably about, I would say I started to have issues that I knew were related. Like my left implant, I remember waking up from surgery and just being in immense pain on my left breast, to the point that I was like sobbing. And the surgeon came in and he said, look, we had to take your implant out 3 times. Every time I put the left side in, it flipped over. And so they had put it in, tried to inflate it. It flipped. They had to deflate it, take it out. It was through my nipple, under my nipple. And so obviously that side had been very manipulated compared to my right side, which I guess made sense why I was in so much more pain. But that side from that point on always gave me so many issues. Like I noticed I couldn't sleep on my left side anymore without being uncomfortable and having pain. And then it was about a year and a half after that surgery, I think it might have been a year, I ended up finding a lump in my breast. So had to go through the whole scare of like, is it cancer? And went under the knife again to have the lump removed. It ended up being scar tissue. My body doesn't always absorb stitches very well. So my body had made some scar tissue around. So thankfully it wasn't cancer. But at that point, I think I really started questioning, what did I do to myself? I can't sleep comfortably now. I always have pain in this breast. I had a cancer scare. And then, of course, I became a mom to a daughter. I have 6 daughters now, but at that point, I had my oldest. She actually graduates from nursing school tomorrow. So shout out to Faith.
Oh my goodness.
Congrats.
I always say,
congratulations.
Like, she was in my womb while I was in nursing school. So I feel like she was just like,
Did you have any problems breastfeeding, Nikki? Or how was that with the implants?
So I knew I wanted to be a mom very much and very quickly. Like I had hoped, right? Like that's why I tried in nursing school, because I thought, oh, I'll just plan it so that I can get pregnant and finish school before having a child. And it happened the first try. So I didn't plan like the morning sickness and the extreme tiredness that comes with pregnancy and the stress of your last year of nursing school. But I did ask to have it under the muscle because I did want to breastfeed my children and have that be an option. So I did attempt with all of my girls. I have biological and adopted. So I did try with my biological. And I feel like because of the implants, especially with my oldest, I just felt like I wasn't, what if my milk ducts are messed up from the surgery and I'm not adequately feeding her? So I didn't know, obviously, as a first-time mom, that babies eat all the time and they're always hungry, it seems like, in those early months. And so I just wondered, oh my gosh, is it my breast? Are they not able to feed her? So I kind of gave up sooner than I would have liked to. I also didn't have a lot of family support from people who had breastfed. So I had no one to kind of reassure me that she was okay and that her weight was, she was still gaining weight. And so I think I attempted for about 3 months, but it seemed like it was working. I mean, I could pump milk out and everything, but that was the main reason why I decided to go under the muscle as opposed to over.
And when I had mine put in, I did the same thing. I went under the muscle instead of over the muscle. And that, and the doctor, when I had originally had gone to my doctor, like you said, that you were pushed right in, like you were having surgery right away. I didn't go, I went in to have the, mommy makeover after losing a ton of weight, because that's what they call it, even though I'd never had kids. I just wanted to have a skin, the skin removed. Yeah. And he's like, well, we're already in there. If we remove them, they're going to be so much smaller. You're used to having, a lot of breast tissue. Why don't we just put implants in there? Yeah. And, I look at it now and I'm like, I shouldn't have done it. I should have just had the the removal and then maybe done a fat transfer, because at the time they were doing they were just starting to do fat transfers then. I should have done that. And now I've got unfortunately, these silicone things that, I've got, what I'm showing the picture here that you had sent me with all the stuff. And it's like, it's just unreal what these things are made out of. Yeah. And absolutely unreal.
Julia, yours are silicone filled as well, correct?
Yes, mine are completely silicone. Mine are a little over 5 years old. So it's, when I had them done, they said they were not the ones that were the recalled ones, but I mean, I need to look into it now, because who knows, they could be on the recall list. Because were yours recalled? I can't remember.
How long do they last? Like, how long are they supposed to last?
So the crazy thing is, and I was reading about some celebrities who removed their breast, and I found it odd, because I just thought, okay, I went to a good surgeon. He wasn't like he was in a nice part of the area where I live in. But he never told me that they only last for a certain time. I was sold a bag of lies, which is, this is a lifetime product that we're putting in your body.
That's what I was told too.
Yeah. And so, Tori Spelling was the one I was looking up earlier, and she was told the same thing. And I thought, and I know she obviously went to a really top-notch surgeon, but they really do sell it as a lifetime warranty. They don't let you know that really it's 8 to 10 years, usually. Yeah. And as you get closer to 10 years, you're talking contractures and other not side effects, but other issues that arise because of the age of the implant. I'll go back to your first question. So I was told it was lifetime. I would have never, ever decided to get them if I knew I had to have the surgery again, because I wanted to be a mom so bad. I wanted to stay home, even though I had the nursing degree. I knew I wanted to raise my children. And I would never have put a product in my body that I would have to replace in 8 to 10 years, because I would have children. And I wouldn't want to spend that kind of money on myself. It's different when you're not married yet, or even newly married without kids. You kind of can excuse away spending a little bit more on a vacation or on yourself for these types of things.
Or even the time. I mean, that's a huge part, is taking post-op recovery time.
Yeah. And
just the downtime.
Yeah. My post-op was extremely long, I think, because my implants were the recalled ones, and also because I'd had them in for so long. But the main reason I said yes is because they were lifetime, and I was told they were super safe. They were no longer the silicone ones that had been pulled off the market finally by the FDA. They were the saline filled. And so, as a nurse, I knew saline water can't be dangerous. But as you think about it, 22-year-old saline water in your body is not safe and is filled with toxins and mold and who knows what else, as I shared in some of those pictures that I sent you.
Yeah.
They're not safer because they're still made out of the same silicone shell. So that's a silicone breast implant, obviously, that has ruptured inside of the capsule. And it was just terrifying to me to think that when I looked into the recall, so I never got notification about a recall. I ended up just joining some groups on Facebook about breast implants. One group in particular, Nicole's group is what it's called.
And which one is that? Because you sent me, this is your surgeon.
Yeah, so Dr. Pryor is my surgeon. He's out of Rockford, Illinois. And then the other group that you had, the other page you had on, that was Nicole's group. That was the first one I joined. And I don't know if you can see how many women are in that group, but it's astronomical, the number of women.
I believe this is the one that you and I connected in. Oh, yeah. So there's almost 175,000 people in this group right now, and this is just one of many groups that you sent me. I didn't join all the groups. So you sent me, I believe, 5 different groups. I'm in one of them. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join all of them. But this one's got 11,000.
Yeah, and the other one was how much again? 170, like 3,000.
170, almost 174. This one's got 10,000. This one only has 93 members in it. Yeah. And
this is just breast implants. That's not all the other medical devices either.
Yep. Not meshed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then so I would say between all these Facebook groups that you sent me, there's got to be at least 200,000 people if you were to combine them all.
For sure. And there's groups I didn't even send. Like there's groups with lawsuits against Allergan. And I was confused because I had seen a recall for Allergan textured implants. I knew I had textured, but I knew I had McGann. What I didn't know is that McGann had actually been bought out by Allergan. So they were the same corporation now, and it was the same implants ultimately causing these issues. When I called,
oh my goodness,
I called Allergan to say, okay, I've just found out my breast implants are recalled for causing BIA-ALCL, which is the cancer of the lymphatic system or lymph system. And I said, what do you offer people like myself? I would like to take my implants out. Will you pay a portion of my surgery and costs? And they said, no, the only thing we'll do is offer you new implants for free. So you can go and have these implants removed. And then I said, why wasn't I notified? So I've had these implants in for all these years. This is when the recall came out. Why didn't I get a letter in the mail or some type of email notification? And they said, we were not required by the FDA until 2019 to have a database of the women with implants. So ultimately, if there was issues that they ended up finding with another implant even, they had no way of contacting these women because the FDA didn't require it, which when they pulled the silicone implants off the market, that was the whole point, was we were going to watch and see, how people were doing with implants. And they ended up bringing silicone back on the market in 2013 without even having a database still in progress, like working to make sure that this didn't happen. So I was very frustrated to get explant surgery the way that I would say is the only way to go, which is the end block capsulectomy, which for those who don't know, it's taking out the implant completely in its shell that your body makes. So your body kind of grows
And
a capsule around the implant. And this
so
is
this
exactly
is this is what grows in our bodies around the implant. This happened to be an infected one. Thank God this wasn't yours.
yes. And this is not even a leaking implant. The implant was intact.
Yeah.
This is just, honestly, my surgeon, I just was with him at a BIA advocate dinner last Friday. And he told me the results of this,
Yeah.
all it showed was debris. That's all that the lab could come up with was debris. And he
They
had
couldn't
never
identify what this infection was.
Nope. And can you imagine
Oh
if
my
they took out the implant the way that a lot of surgeons do? They do not take out the capsule with the implant in one piece. They sometimes drain the capsule or, leave the capsule and just take out the implant. So all of that garbage you're seeing, that brown stuff would have been in this woman's body. And who knows what damage it could have done. So that is a proper implant, and that's mine. So those are my capsules. And the extra tissue on the bottom is, I actually had a lift because after having 3 kiddos, if I was going to go under the knife again, I figured I might as well lift them up a little bit and make them perky if I'm going to take them out. So that extra skin underneath is from that. But thankfully,
and this one here, if you can't see it, this one is the left side and this is the right side.
Correct. And it was actually, I believe, my left. If you go to that other picture, Julia, where it shows the inside of the, once he cuts open. Yeah. So you can see there's like a little white shininess to the implants. That's a fluid that normally is a telltale sign of the lymphoma, the BIA-ALCL. And so I think I sent you one more picture behind that. That's like a zoom in of the capsule. So that fluid up on the left. So the fluid on the implant itself, the wetness, and then also kind of that yellowy stuff in the top left corner of the capsule. Yep, right there.
Right there.
I was going back and forth with, should I spend even more money to get labs done? Because there's different tests you can do to check for cancer. And because I had the recalled ones, my husband and I said, we're not going through all of this and then not doing the proper testing. So just do it and we'll figure it out. And so we did it. And when I woke up, I remember the first question I asked my surgeon's BII advocate, Laura, who's just incredible, was there fluid? And she kind of just teared up a little bit. And she said, there was, Nicole. So even if you had decided not to test, Dr. Pryor would have put it through because of what he saw.
Oh, good.
Wow.
So
and if you think about like the history of implants, they were marketed to women who had cancer.
Yes.
Breast removal. So it's like, okay, we're going to take out the cancer and give you implants that will also give you more cancer.
Exactly.
It's going to give you more cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why just you can't trust any of the acronym organizations because clearly they've shown themselves to not care about our health. And this is just another pure example of that. They push these implants on women who are breast cancer survivors as the only way to make them be a woman again. They don't even like to consider like complete closure or flap procedures where women just take, obviously because they have no more breast tissue, it's been taken off. They make women often feel like you will never be happy with yourself. You can't be happy with yourself. This is what your womanhood is,
Yeah, and they push them for radical mastectomies when they have like millimeter size. They offer them to be, well, we could excise it and you'll be good. But, it's just better to do the radical mastectomy. And then you get implants.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't that a beautiful thing? No.
Yeah. So we're trading one thing for another toxic thing.
Yes.
Cancer is like, oh, now you get that plastic surgery that you always that you dreamed of.
Yeah. And there's a woman I sent, I have a link that Julia will share too after the podcast, but her name is Robin Tout. She's a good friend of mine. She is a 3-time breast cancer survivor. And her testimony is very powerful because she says that her breast implant illness was worse than having cancer all of those times.
Wow.
She only had her implants in for 4 months before she finally figured out that was what was causing her sickness. Because her last bout of cancer, she decided she wasn't going to do any of the traditional radiation chemo. But yet she was having all the symptoms that the other women in her group were in regards to like the women who were getting treated with radiation. She no longer had that as an option. And yet she said, well, it can't be these things causing it. Could it be the implants making me this sick? And so she took out her implants and within from the moment she woke up, she felt better. And so she has
Oh
just
my
a really
gosh.
powerful testimony after only 4 months of breast implant illness. But she created she created an advocate network for like a global outreach to women to try to help women in all different countries. Yeah, there it is. And it's great. If you go to this website, there's a checklist for just breast implant illness. There's more info. It also talks about mesh, because that's another huge issue that women are having that no one's talking about. Which, some of these women who've gotten mesh put in can't even be intimate with their partners anymore because of the pain associated with either themselves or their partners, because of the mesh. And they're told they can't take it out, that when it becomes almost like shards of glass inside of them, that there's nothing they can do. So it's just, it's terrible.
Yeah. And there's so many different things, like it's completely a racket. I mean, it's the complete upsell. I went in to have skin removed. They upsold me to have the implants put in, which was like another, I want to say it was another $5,000 for the implants, to have the implants put in. And then like I went in for my consult, it was the last consult. I think it was like 2 weeks prior to my surgery.
Yeah.
And they upsold me for another, like $1,500 or $1,800. I forget. And I'm like, well, might as well do it. Was having the internal bra put in.
Yeah.
And it was one upsell after another after another. My surgery in total ended up being almost, I think, $19,000. It was just under $19,000, and that was having skin removed from my abdomen, skin removed from my breast tissue, and then also having the implants and the internal bra put in.
So you had I didn't realize, Julia, you have that internal bra, which is mesh as well.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah,
I've never had any issues that I know of, except for ever since, and I don't know if it's a nerve thing, but when I get really, really cold, my left nipple area is freezing, and it hurts. It hurts so bad. My right one doesn't do it, but my left one does it. And I mean, to the point where I have to have like those hand warmer things and like put it in my bra to warm myself.
Yeah,
or I have to get in.
If you think about it, it's like those implants and the mesh, it has a different like density, so it's a different temperature that it would potentially freeze at.
Yeah.
Because I have implanted metal, and I definitely feel when the weather changes.
Yeah.
Like the old people in their joints. Oh, I feel like the weather's changing. But it's a different density than bone or than our skin and our muscles. So
there's quite a few good documentaries out there, but The Cutting Edge was one that was really eye-opening to me, because it touches on breast implants, it touches on mesh, and it touches on the metal put in for like hip replacements and such. And one of the people they follow in that documentary he was himself like a physical, he wasn't a physical therapist, he was a surgeon for those things. And he obviously had a hip replacement, and he went crazy. Like, it had caused such toxicity in his brain. And yet all the blood tests were coming back normal. And finally they figured out that it was the metal. They weren't testing for the right metal, but it was the cobalt, I believe that was the correct metal, coming off of his hip that was causing him to pretty much like go crazy. Like, they wanted to possibly put him in a mental hospital. And he had the surgery, removed it, put in a different one, and made a full recovery. So
wow.
It's not just breast implants. It's any medical device we put in our body. And I know we've been blessed with some incredible stuff like pacemakers and things that are life-saving. But there are so many other things we've accepted as so great with major risk, and we're not told about the risks. And I believe if we truly were, we would try other things, or we would just opt out. We wouldn't want, just like the other things that you guys talk about a lot on here. If we had true informed consent, genuine informed consent, nobody would be signing up for these surgeries knowing the risks involved.
Yeah, if they would have informed me with what I know now, just from my own, my own research, and then you and I talking, and me being in that Facebook group with you, I would have never agreed. I would have just said, no, I'm good. Just do the lift, the skin removal and move on, or done the fat transfer. But I would have never had the implants put in.
Well, and now it's that point of like, how much you spent to put them in. And obviously mine was not that much. I think mine was around 4,000, 3,000 to 4,000 at that time. Again, this is 22 years ago. But to remove them these days without anything else, just a basic, well, not basic, doing it properly, doing the en bloc capsulectomy. I know my surgeon covers like everything, anesthesia, all of your post-op appointments for a year after. You're talking $8,500 just for the removal of the
removal
lifts or fat transfers or anything else women might opt to do. So it's a big price tag. And unlike, lung cancer, you can smoke cigarettes, which we know are bad for you, and your insurance will cover your treatments.
Yep.
You do not get that luxury when you make a mistake with breast implants. I mean, I remember calling my insurance just saying, okay, how can I get these paid for by you to remove them? And they said, unless you're in an accident where one ruptures, and in that case, we will only take out the one that's ruptured. We will not.
Oh my gosh, they leave you with one in there.
They literally,
that's terrible.
That's terrible.
Literally what they do.
Yeah. And so for me, again, as a mom to 6 kids now, 6 daughters, and even though I was a nurse, it was a lot of times part-time because I wanted to be home raising my kids and educating them. That's a big chunk of money to come up with. And as it got closer, we had actually had a funeral for my husband's uncle about a year ago. I think it was a little over a year ago. And it was on the way home. You're obviously thinking about death because you just lost a loved one. And my daughter and her husband were in the car with us. And my husband and I started arguing over who was going to die first. Now he's like 8 years older than me. And he's like, well, it's fine because I'm going before you. And I'm like, I have ticking time bombs in me that are recalled for causing cancer. Like, sorry, babe, I think I'm probably going to go before you. And he's very normally mellow and like a peacemaker, but that upset him. He's like, if you truly think those things are killing you, make an appointment. And I'm like, we can't afford it right now. And he said, I don't care. If you think they're going to kill you, that they're making you sick to the point that you're going to die, make the appointment this week. And he never normally gives me that kind of ultimatum about stuff, but he was so adamant that week I ended up going on Nicole's page. I had saved a surgeon's name out of Rockford because, this is in the middle of COVID craziness. I did not want to end up somewhere where they were going to try to tell me I needed to be, whatted, to have a surgery. So I had just assumed I was going to have to go to Florida or another state. To find somebody in Illinois was very much, I just thought, not going to be an option, especially because some of the surgeons were in Chicago where I knew they were really crazy. And so when I called this doctor's office out of Rockford, the doctor I'd originally called for wasn't even at the practice anymore. So I almost just hung up and gave up. But I got Laura, which is Dr. Pryor's incredible BIA advocate, Laura Bowden. She's been around for a long time. She had her explant 30 years ago and just is the biggest blessing, I think, for all of these women that she's helped. I think she said she just had her 1,000th surgery that she was a part of. Holding your hand.
Oh my goodness.
I was there with my girls because I didn't want my husband to take off time from work. So I had my older girls drive me there. And she said, you know what, Nicole, I'm just going to stay with you tonight in the hotel room, make sure you're okay. So she actually stayed with me and made sure. And I ended up doing okay. But Laura, when I got on the phone with her, she was the first person who didn't make me feel like I was crazy. Not that my family didn't believe me. They knew that I was sick, that I had gained a ton of weight, that I was always tired, that I had these weird symptoms. And they believed it could be the implants. But Laura was the first person who said, yes, it happened to me too. And you can get better. There is hope. You're not alone. This is going to help. And so she was just such an answer to prayer at a time when I felt so uncertain about so many things going on in the world. And I'm so grateful I found Dr. Pryor. He's more naturopathic in his mindset. And so we got along very well. And he was just an answer to prayer, and so was Laura. So I'm very grateful. I highly recommend him for anybody who's able to get out here.
Nikki, how would women find out if their implant is like expired or recalled, or like how did you get that information?
So unfortunately, you're kind of out of luck if you had it before 2019, unless you remembered your maker. So like the biggest questions I would ask the woman is, anybody listening who has implants or maybe knows someone who does, who's not feeling well, is, are they silicone or are they saline filled? You know, again, they're all covered in a silicone shell. So that picture that you guys shared earlier, all those toxic chemicals are in both. It's just obviously silicone is dangerous if it leaks, because they found it throughout the whole body, in lymph nodes, in the brain, in women's organs after they've died. So we know it migrates, contrary to what the FDA and, you know, surgeons say. But for me, it was just putting some dots together. I had heard about the textured implants being the ones that were the BIA-ALCL. That was one thing I knew I definitely had. I wasn't positive about the maker, but I thought it was McGann. And when I finally had the connection through one of the pages that McGann was allergen, that's how I knew, like, oh my gosh, I actually have the implants inside of me that are causing this cancer. So unfortunately for other women, unless it was after 2019, it's very hard. There's no way to know for sure until you take the implants out. And there should be either a serial number or a brand, like mine don't have a serial number, but they have McGann's logo on them. And another interesting fact that I've recently found out is that implants put in after 2013, not all of them, but many of them have an RFID chip put inside the implants that women don't even realize they're walking around with. So we know that when you implant a pet, like a dog, with a chip, that it can cause cancer, cats and dogs. We know that for a fact now. And women who got these implants put in have no idea that there's actual implants inside of their breast implant.
I have a feeling that the ones that I have, because I had them done in 2017, I believe they're Sienta, I believe is the name. My surgeon actually gave me a card with the serial numbers on them and what the size and everything is. So I just need to pull that back out and look them up. But I had them done in 2017, so I know I'm not in the database, but I bet you I've got this chip in mine.
Yeah, and I just think, how do women not get told that kind of information? So as of 2019, through lots of fighting by my friend Robin Taut and other incredible warriors who've survived BII, they did make the FDA finally put a black box warning on their implants. But the majority of the surgeons are still not giving that info to their patients. So they're actually supposed to go over a checklist of things that can happen from breast implant illness. But not all surgeons are sharing that information. And even the ones who I believe are doing it in such a deceptive way that women are not thinking, like they're thinking it's just very uncommon when it's not at all. The symptoms that women are suffering from, the main problem is that it's getting blamed as everything else, you know, fibromyalgia or thyroid dysfunction, because it is causing some of those things in people as well. But when
they're causing autoimmune diseases because of your body is reacting to an implanted device. I mean, when you don't think about them being a device, but they are. And I just pulled up the national tracking, and it says device tracking. They have a device tracking app.
Yeah, and they said they were doing it for the safety of the women, but at the same point, they were not connected. They were not collecting data from all the other women. So they had implants with these chips that were supposed to be helping, you know, make sure that the women always knew what implants they had, and also if there had been complications. But yet we're also told that until 2019, no surgeons had to put any of our info in the database. So it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And this is reading right here. It's stating that as of December 1st, 2022, 1,444 physicians have registered, and there's 73,493 cases that have been entered into the National Registry.
Yep.
Well, we just looking at those Facebook groups, we know there's over 200,000 women just in 5 Facebook groups alone. I bet you they're not even, I can almost guarantee they're probably doing one for every 5 of surgery that they're actually doing with those numbers of 3 years that they only have 73,000 cases registered.
Yep. And there's women like my aunt. So my mom's sister, one of her sisters actually had implants put in way back when, like, gosh, I believe she still had the same set when she passed away 2 years ago. But I had said to her, like, Auntie Sil, are you sure that your issues, these autoimmune issues and all of these problems you're having could not be connected to the implants? Because I believe my issues are. And she actually said, that she talked to doctors about it. She had the same concern, and they told her, no, there's absolutely no way they could be connected. So, yeah, my mom's forgetting that I'm on the call with you guys. So I'm just going to shut my phone down and just, she's going to have a few minutes.
You're good. My dad's call. It never fails. The dogs act up. Same thing with Nicole. The dogs go crazy. Somebody's calling.
Yes.
At least nobody's responding. I'm like, I can't talk right now, and like nobody's saying that they're dying. So that's a good thing.
It's an emergency. You'll hear them coming to the door here shortly, but.
Yeah.
The hardest part is, again, I went to the doctor for many years just with different symptoms. I mean, my weight gain was my probably most uncomfortable side effect, in the sense that obviously as women, we know, as you saw in my first picture, I mean, I used to be quite thin. I had such chronic fatigue that working out was just a struggle, but I still did it because I did not like how much I was gaining. I gained almost 100 pounds. Since
my goodness.
Now, mind you, I'm also older. You can blame metabolism and age and certain factors, but that's a lot of weight to put on. And I truly believe it's because of the fact that I could not, my body was always in such a fight, flight, or freeze mode, the survival mode, that I feel like my adrenals were they shut down. And again, like you said, Julia, we have 2 devices put in our chest, right by our heart and our lungs. How would we not that they would be causing us these autoimmune issues that we're suffering from, and that so many other women suffer from? It's like, I think one of the number one symptoms that women have are autoimmune related, which it makes sense. I mean, as nurses, we should know that, but you're just told that that's not something that happens, and that, again, that they're safe. And yeah.
And if you think about all the lymph connection too, like under the armpit and through the breast, that's all lymph tissue.
Yes.
So,
and the other thing is like having under the muscle, the damage it does cutting into your chest muscle, your chest wall, the way that you do. And then having those these large bags of, whether silicone or saline underneath there, your body never heals correctly because you're not supposed to have those types of things underneath your chest wall. And so it just messes up the alignment of your body everywhere else. Your back, I've had major back issues since having my implants. Again, the weight was really hard to accept over the years, especially when I would try everything I could think of to get it off. And then also the chronic fatigue was it was debilitating at times. I mean, I honestly don't know how I made the last few years working through the craziness of this world as a nurse and a mom and a caregiver to my mom, home educating my kids with those things in. As I got closer,
it looked like from the pictures, Nikki, it looked like the body was trying to seal something off around there. Yes. It's like the body was doing the most to just really seal, like with all the, like a cellular membrane almost, trying to protect the rest of the body from those implants.
Yes.
It makes it, our bodies make a capsule.
Yeah.
They capsulize the implant. I'll pull that picture back up.
Ladies, can you pause for 1 second? I guess there is an emergency. Can you guys let me? My mom, I think her port is bleeding, her site from her dialysis again.
Oh no.
Can you just hold on 1 second, and I'm going to run home because I thought they were just annoying me asking if we were doing something, but
not a problem at all. I'm going to go ahead and
it's just never a dull moment, and I'm afraid. Shoot. Of course, it's raining out too.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute Nikki, and I'm trying to pull her off. I'm trying to figure out how to pull her off of here. Nicole had to hop off, so of course, pulling her from the studio. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So yes, this is all new learning techniques for us.
Yeah. Nurse is never off duty, you know?
No, we're definitely not.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping everything is okay. But I'm just so glad that she came on to share her story and be able to, let me see if I can pull, be able to share her story. And this is one of the pictures that she sent to us for, so that we can, have an idea of like what it is. This is not something that's very easy for somebody to go through. Like myself personally, I'm trying to figure out, do I want to have that expense? Do I want to spend up to $10,000 and have to have them removed when I just had them put in, a little over 5 years ago? But I remember seeing this on her Facebook. I believe it was the day after she had them taken out. Bye-bye ticking time bombs. Looking forward to living a life you almost stole from me. Sincerely, a brave woman who knows her worth. And to me, that is just so, it's just so huge that she was able to do this and be able to come on and be on our podcast and share what, what she's gone through. And it's just absolutely incredible. I'm trying to pull her, but I'm not figuring out how to do that, unfortunately. I was able to mute. Let me see. There we go. I was able to pull her. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties when we're learning how to do things when we haven't done them before. But we will share all of the links for all the Facebook groups if you are interested in learning more. If you feel that if you have implants and you feel that you have issues for, if you've been having, things, God knows we're getting gaslit. Nicole and I had this conversation today in an interview that we did this morning. We're getting gaslit for everything right now. And unfortunately, the medical community has gaslit so many women with breast illness. They have breast implant illness. It is a true thing. There are doctors out there that are helping. We will share all of the links, everything that she shared with us, we will share with you guys. And then I will also share the National Breast Implant Registry, so that if you do have implants and you've had them from 2019 to now, you can look and see if your case is in there. I still can't believe that there's only, I know there's got to be more than 73,000 surgeries that have been done.
Right.
In 3 years.
It kind of sounds like another system where we know that there's a lot more injuries than what are being reported.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That just does not make any sense to me whatsoever. It's crazy that it looks like she might be coming back. I'm not quite sure if she's, let me see. Nikki, are you okay?
She took off her bandage again before she should have, Julia. So it's kind of like what happened last time. So anyway, my daughter's putting pressure, but she lost quite a bit of blood. So, but in the state we're living in, it's not like I want her to go and get a transfusion.
No.
So I'm at a crossroads of not knowing what to do.
Well, we can let you go. We appreciate you being here. And
I'm sorry, ladies. There's never a dull moment in my life, I tell you.
It is completely okay. Just like my dad, my phone, my dad calls. I was getting a phone call from another nurse that has something, so I'm gonna have to call her back. So it's never a dull moment in our world. That's for sure.
I greatly appreciate you guys even just putting me on so we can talk about this, because one thing I was going to say just to the women listening, in sharing my journey, I don't want to make anyone feel shame-filled, because, we all got implants for different reasons. Some obviously after cancer and, those really traumatic circumstances. And even if it was for other reasons, maybe your breasts weren't equal size or whatever. It's not about shaming you. It's about just educating you so that when you start having these symptoms, because I truly believe it's not a matter of if you will, it's just when you'll connect the dots that the migraines you're having, that the fatigue you're having, that the weight gain or weight loss, because both are seen, are connected to the implants. It's just an awakening. And then it's hard because you don't have people believing you. Most doctors, when I went to all my appointments, my blood results were coming back normal. You know, my thyroid levels were coming back normal. And they would just keep saying, you know, Nicole, there's really nothing wrong with you except your weight. You know, we got to get your weight down. And, you know, they sell you another pharmaceutical drug to fix that, which causes more issues. You know, it's just this vicious cycle of feeling like you're not heard and like you're not seen. And so you're just feeling alone. So to those women, just hear me when I say you're not alone. And there are people out there who totally understand what you're going through, who've survived it, who are now in the place of healing, and who want to help you like myself. So I'm here to help those other women, to talk with them, to cry with them, to pray with them, to help them walk, you know, down the road of just finding a good explant surgeon, one that can be trusted to do the procedure the correct way. Because unfortunately, again, you don't have insurances that will cover these normally, but in some rare cases, like a rupture or serious contractures, they will. But they often send them back to surgeons that are not capable of being, like Dr. Pryor is a microsurgeon. You know, he has a trade, a skill that not every breast surgeon has. And so you really just want to make sure you're in good hands, because if you leave part of that capsule in or all of it, your symptoms will not resolve, because your body is still going to have those toxic chemicals that now, you know, are open to freely flow throughout your body, not just leak from the capsule, but now, you know, just invade your entire body. So that was, you know, just important for women to know you're not alone, and there are people who believe you and know it's not all in your head. And that feeling of death, or, you know, that you're going to die, is very common, unfortunately, for us with implants. So.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you are doing so much better. Before you go, could you just let our viewers know what has improved? I mean, because I've seen a difference just in the time that we've known each other. I've seen a difference from how you felt prior to how you feel now, you know, a few months later. What has improved in your overall stamina and your overall health since you had them removed?
So about 3 months before my explant, I started noticing this weird pain in my temple. It was actually this side, I think. And as I was looking it up, I thought, oh my gosh, am I getting stenosis? Like, it was just a concern. I thought my inflammation was so bad in my body that I was really afraid that I might have a medical crisis. And I remember waking up from surgery, and the first thing I did, before I obviously asked the question about the fluid, was rub my temples. And the pain was gone. And the pain's been gone since. I've never had it come back. And even that next morning, I had to get up quite early to go back to my surgeon's office to have my post-op appointment. I had so much energy. I had not waken up feeling so refreshed. And it's not like I got a ton of sleep. We got back late. You know, obviously I was uncomfortable because it was my first night, you know, after the explant. But I just remember waking up and thinking, I'm not tired. I don't feel like I need to stay in bed for 5 more hours. And since then, I'm shocked at how much more energy I have. Like, whether I get 7 hours of sleep or 6 or 10, I feel refreshed in the morning. Like, I'm ready to start my day. And before, it didn't matter how many hours of sleep I got. I had to like will myself out of bed. I had to pray, God, okay, please give me the strength to get through today and let me be, you know, able to do everything that you need me to do, to take care of my family, or to be a nurse, or to be my mom's caretaker. And it was just a struggle. And so I would say my main issue, my chronic fatigue, has definitely resolved. I had pain in my elbows and in some of my joints. That's gotten better. It hasn't completely went away, which I think it's because I'm also dealing with Lyme disease. So that would make sense. And I'm trying to detox and do things to help with that as well. But the headaches went away. I had like just crazy pain sometimes in my neck and like back. I also had a weird pain in my left breast area again, where I had those bigger struggles. And when I had a scan done, because I thought maybe it was a blood clot, and they had said, you know, there's no blood clots there, but there's a ton of inflammation. And I remember going back to my main doctor who had seen me, you know, for the last 25 years. And he just said, Nicole, we got to get to the root of where that inflammation's coming from. And I said, I already know where it is. It's the implants. And so, you know, some things have helped. Like my left-sided breast pain is obviously gone. And just the ability to feel like I'm not 80 anymore. And like I'm my actual age, I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm that age. And for the first time in years, I'm finally down like 7-8 pounds, since.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it's been 6 months. I surely wish it would have been sooner. I thought afterwards when I got on the scale after the explant, I thought, well, where's the couple pounds from those stupid implants? But it was, I was obviously dealing with a lot of fluid retention from the anesthesia and I was very immobile. It took me 3 months to recover fully from the surgery. I had my drains in for 30 days. So chest drains for 30 days is rough. It was not fun. It was really hard, but I don't regret it whatsoever. My only regret is that it took me this long to do it because I wished I would have done it sooner when my kids were younger. So that I would have been maybe a more, I was still a very active mom. I pushed through it. I'm a tough chick. I can push through things, but it was just difficult. It was more difficult than it had to be. So yeah, that's one of my only regrets, but I'm so grateful now that I'm on the other side of recovery and healing. And I'm extremely grateful for just the ability to now talk to other women about this and hopefully help them figure out a way to get better themselves because, we all have to help each other. I think as women, sometimes we are, I don't want to say turned off, but almost like if a woman has perfect breasts and is very thin, you don't want to be best friends sometimes with these other women who look so perfect, and we unfortunately miss out on those relationships that really need to happen in many cases because of the fact that these women are suffering too. You just can't tell because of how they look on the outside. And so, it's important for me just to be at least available for women to know that they aren't alone and that they can get better. So I'm grateful again for just the opportunity to talk to you both. And even though with the craziness of what just happened with my mom, I'm telling you,
you're saving the world, Nikki.
Yep.
You're saving the world. I've learned so much through this. This is really incredible. Just your knowledge base and what an incredible resource.
Well, there's so many other, there's so many celebrities now, thankfully, speaking out. Like JP Spears' wife, Amber, on Instagram has shared her explant journey. Obviously, Danica Patrick shared hers. Like I said earlier, Tori Spelling, there's quite a few. Even Pamela Anderson, the original Baywatch bikini model that got me. Well, she wasn't in a bikini. She was in that lifeguard bathing suit. Remember?
Yeah. Yep.
But still,
she ruined it for us, huh?
Yeah.
She has now, has taken her implants out. And so with every woman who is willing to put that out there and just, it's hard. It's hard to sometimes be this transparent. Julia, I appreciate you being so honest, with all of us and with me in the beginning, even just that we can relate that way to each other. It connects you. And we're not supposed to walk this journey alone. And you can't. You need a tribe, and especially as you heal and you have lots of questions and just going through trying to figure out, is this really what is going on with me? It's important to have other people. So yeah, again, huge shout out to Dr. Pryor from Pryor Health. He is wonderful, and I highly recommend him. And also his advocate, Laura, is BII Pioneer on Instagram. She posts some incredible videos and pictures and stories of women who are explanting. And
that's good to know. I'll share those when as well. I'll drop those in the comments and everything so that people can find those along with all the Facebook groups and everything.
Yes.
And then also thank you for being the voice and having the courage to come out and talk about it, because I know a lot of celebrities are, but I don't see a lot of, people, I don't want to say regular people, but, I don't see a lot of women coming out and doing, saying what they're doing. A lot of it is behind closed doors, is my opinion. And I think we need to be more open about it. And,
For sure.
you really opened my eyes to, like, I don't remember what it was that you shared a few months ago, but it's like, I'm like, holy, you know what? Like, I wonder, because I can barely, I have so many problems sleeping. And like, if I don't take something to sleep at night, I either can't fall asleep at night or I'm awake within like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I used to be able to sleep 12 hours. You know, I'd hardcore crash and I'd be out and wake up the next morning. And it's like, where did the last 10 hours go? And now I'm almost every morning, 4:30, between 4 and 4:30, I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
Almost every morning. And I lay there trying to go back to sleep. And I just usually just get up around 6 because
that's
I
one
can't.
of the symptoms a lot of women suffer from, Julia, is that, and I think that's part of why I had such chronic fatigue, because I couldn't sleep through the night. I was uncomfortable. You know, especially again, my left side was always, you know, painful to sleep on. And I don't think I ever really got a restful night's sleep in the last 22 years before these implants came out. And so it kind of makes sense, you know, with what our body's fighting related to those implants and that just autoimmune issues. But then also we can't rest. Our body is not able to truly rest because of the different issues with the insomnia and the pain. So yeah, it's, unfortunately, I know there's some women, even in my own life, who admitted to me after I shared my testimony, even before I knew my implants were recalled, I was sharing my testimony with women in like women's settings and with mother and daughter groups, just really trying to warn them. You know, this is even before I knew how dangerous they were, that there are a lot of side effects that I'm suffering from that I wish I would have been told about. And I had women come up to me after and just admit to me, I have implants and my family doesn't know. You know, I haven't told my children, I haven't told anybody in my family. And I get that. It's a private matter. But unfortunately, you're then dealing with people in your life who see you getting sicker, who don't even know maybe. So that's, again, what I remind people on here. Maybe you have a loved one who's suffering from a lot of autoimmune issues or a lot of those symptoms that you can look up. Just say, hey, do you happen to have breast implants that you haven't told me about? You know, is this something you think maybe could be causing your symptoms? And in a lot of cases, I think you're surprised to hear the women admit that they do. But it's just something they've become embarrassed by almost. You know, they don't want people to think that they altered that body in that way. And as a Christian, for me, it was hard because I felt like I should have known better than to do that to myself. But I was a very new believer, and there was nothing I could do once it was done. It was just now figuring out the right time to take them out, which never seemed to be there. You know, I had faith, and then I had my twins, and then we fostered, and then we adopted, and you know, my mom's healthcare issues happened. Not healthcare. My mom's health, you know, got worse, and she was on dialysis. So there was always reasons why. Now I have a cat puking in the background. I'm telling you, it's like, really? Can you take him out of the carpet, honey, and put him in the kitchen? So yeah, it's just, but it is, Peyton, please pick him up. It's okay. Just pick him up and put him in there. It's okay. Peyton, thank you. So yeah,
it's life. I mean, it never fails. You know, you can have the best laid plans for something, and then something happens. I'll never forget the day that I had my consult. I put my money down. I called my husband. I was on my way to work, and that was the day that we found out that my mother-in-law had cancer.
Oh.
And I'm like, what do I do? You know, I had just put $10,000 down for my surgery, and I'm like, and scheduled, and I'm just like, oh my God, what do we do? And, you know, we had a big family meeting. I'm like, do I do this? You know, what do I do? And we went ahead, because I, like you, it was always me doing, I never did anything for myself.
Yes.
So this was something that I was finally doing something for myself.
Yeah.
And the day I write the check and put the money down and make an appointment, we found out that she had stage 4 colon cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Julia.
And yeah, it's like, I just, you know, I replay all of that, and it's like, I think now it's like, I should have changed things. I should have not done it when I did it, but
maybe it was a warning, you know, maybe it was like a God thing trying to Yeah.
Trying to tell me not to do it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
So
But you know,
it's just crazy.
You can't, the biggest issue is we can't go back, but we do have regret, you know, and it's hard, but I'm believing you're going to be able to have that surgery to explant yourself, and we're going to find you a good surgeon. And, you know, who knows, maybe we could even have a fundraiser on here for you. Bless you for everything you've done for AFLN, you know, a way to help you, because we need you well. You're a big part of this incredible organization. And so we need you to be at your best, you know, to be able to help everyone else get better. So I don't know, but it's just a journey that people don't want to be on. But unfortunately, we have put ourselves in that direction of life, where now we just have to pray that we can get the explant surgery and get better. Because there are some women who, unfortunately, you know, I met one last Friday. She had the explant, she had the surgery exactly as she should have, but the silicone had already just left her capsule. It's throughout her whole body. And so, you know, this young mom in her 30s is in bed 23 hours out of the day. And it's
my goodness,
to see that even after having the appropriate surgery, in her case, it's going to take a lot more to get her well. And so, yes, that's fine. Yeah. So it's, you know, and there's another woman I know about who was a young mom. I think she had 2 or 3 kids. By the time she figured out that it was her implants making her sick, she didn't even get a chance to get the surgery date picked before she passed away.
Oh,
so,
wow.
You know, you and I are lucky that with our symptoms, we're still functioning to, you know, quite a good degree, I'd say. But there's a lot of other women who aren't. And again, getting diagnosed with MS and other things and being totally disregarded that it's anything to do with the, you know, implant or the mesh or whatever implantable device they have in their bodies, you know. So it's
right. You got me thinking about the metal now, because I have all the metal. So.
Well, and there's that list that I gave you, that I gave Julia. There's a list for side effects for metals and for other devices. So just see if any of the things you're suffering from are on there. But yeah, it's hard because we have been sold a pack of lies by doctors off of all of these things.
And nobody really wants to fix what another surgeon did too, because I asked to have that metal out and they were like, well, that's going to be, you know, 8 weeks minimum recovery. You'll be in a wheelchair. And I have a toddler. That's not going to work, you know? I mean, he beats me up on the daily.
Yeah.
He's going to beat me up in the wheelchair.
Well, and that's what some women, you know, so many women are struggling with, because to have the explant surgery, you can't use your arms.
Oh gosh. Yeah. How can you lift the baby? And
then just having even a toddler that you're chasing after, you know, it's a lot to not only come up with the financial part of it, but then even to have the family support or friends support you with your younger children. That, you know, and when I had my explant surgery, my youngest was 9. So, you know, I was very blessed that they were all kind of helping me each day and, you know, making food for me and doing all these things. But for a lot of women, they don't have that choice, and they don't have that long to wait, in the sense that they're so sick that they need to have it sooner than later. And it seems like with the newer, I mean, I think in general, whether it's the older silicone or the saline textured, but especially as the silicone came back, I feel like it came back with a vengeance, that all of these issues that women were suffering from related to that silicone migrating throughout their body is just back again. And so I feel like the women who are having the implants more so in the last, you know, decade or even 5 years are getting sicker quicker. Like they're noticing the symptoms.
Well, and that's what's making me like really like my brain is like ticking right now, because it was August of 2017 is when I had them done. So we're not quite 5.5 years.
Yeah. And I feel like with each year that you have them, you know, your symptoms become more obvious, you know, because again, we can just excuse away so many of them. But when it comes down to it, it's normally just being overlooked by our doctors. And those are the ones we're going to as the experts in our lives. You know, even as nurses, we just don't trust that this is what's really happening to us. And because we were sold this pack of lies that they're safe, what are we going to do except believe them? You don't want to believe that it's those things. And that vain part of you who put these implants in because you wanted to look prettier in your dresses or bathing suit, or just, you don't want to believe that these things are what's making you sick. And so there's lots of women I've met who say, even if that's making me sick, I don't know that I'm ready to take that next step to get them out, because I don't want to look disformed, or I don't want to look, like I did before. And you really just have to ask yourself, what's more important, my health or the way I look,
Yeah.
And in my case, I was very blessed, because of the weight. I feel like my breasts turned out very nice after my surgery. I have no complaints whatsoever. My surgeon did an incredible job, and I'm very happy with the results. But I talked to my husband and said, there's a chance I'm going to be deformed and they're going to be concaved in, or, who knows? And he said, I don't care. I didn't marry you for your breasts. So he's like, I don't care what they look like. Just get them out. I want you well. I want you healthy. I want you happy. And so I finally feel like I'm getting to that again. And I'm so, so grateful.
That's so good. I'm so glad that you were able to get them out when you did, and that you're feeling so much better now.
Yeah, me too. Me too, ladies. So here's hoping that other women who are going to watch this later will start thinking about the same things and making plans to get themselves healthy too, because, we only get one body, we only get one life. And we just have to ask ourselves, what's the most important thing we want to do with it? And for me, there was get my body healthy. So I am truly grateful I was able to do that. And I'm looking forward to continuing to detox all this crap out of my body and get even healthier. They say, I forgot the exact timeline that they estimate, but I think it's going to take me about 5 years to get all of me. So, I go through detox waves, and some days are a little bit harder, and detoxes sometimes seem harder, but it's all worth it because I know it's what I got to do. And lymphatic massage and so many other things are really helpful. But again, everything costs money. Detox programs that actually work and that are good for you, as we know, are expensive.
It's really expensive to detox, because I'm thinking like the IV therapies, like the glutathiones, the NEC, the antioxidants. Infrared sauna, that's expensive. I mean, you're almost better off buying one up front, but that's very expensive too.
Yeah. Well, and that's why if there's anyone listening who is thinking about getting implants, please don't do it. The financial cost of getting your health back after is so expensive, and it robs you of years of your life, that you suffer, that you don't have to. So we just need to be happy with our ladies. We need to be grateful with whatever's going on in there, and just, find a way to embrace whatever size or whatever we have left after cancers and such, in a way that we're just grateful to be alive and, healing and healthy again. So.
Well, thank you so much, Nikki, for sharing your story and for giving us, more food for thought, and giving our something to think about, and being an advocate for breast implant illness. Thank you so much for doing that. And that is, I know that's your passion, and I know that you're going to be able to help. You're going to be able to help more people than you even realize.
I really want to. I hope so. It's my goal to just, give it forward and help women learn from the different things that I wish I had been told. And even just like I said, just to hug another woman and let her cry and remind her that she's not crazy, and that it's not all in her head, and that there is a way to get better. That's so important to me to be able to do to others. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more of those opportunities. And I know that you guys having me on here today and letting me share some of my story is definitely going to open that door. So yeah, thank you both again for your patience throughout all of this.
Thank you.
This is my daughter who's putting pressure on my mom's artery.
Go take care of your mama, and let us know if you need anything.
Yeah, of all days. I'm like, Mom, you're not supposed to take the Band-Aids off yet. And she did. And so yeah, like literally there's like bloody towels everywhere. It's a mess in there.
Oh no.
So yeah, I got cleaning up and showering to do, but pray that it stops and I don't have to take her in.
Yeah, well, they haven't come out yelling for you, so I'm gonna pray
they're
that
in the
stops and
background.
everything
Luckily,
is
you can't
good.
hear them, but they are. My one daughter is like, "Mom, my arm's getting tired, Mom."
Well, we'll let you go, Nikki.
Thank you, ladies.
Well,
again.
Bye,
thank
Nikki.
you so much.
Thank you for everything.
You guys do, not just for tonight, but for all the different podcasts you do, and for everything you're doing behind the scenes. You ladies are rock stars, and I'm grateful to be a part of your group and tribe. So together we are a mighty army and a mighty force to be reckoned with. So
we definitely are.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Thank
you.
Okay, good night,
Have
ladies.
a good evening.
Good night.
Good night. Wow, I feel like I could talk to her for hours and hours and hours. But thank you guys so much for joining us, and be sure to share this if you know anyone that has breast implants and they have unexplained illnesses. By all means, share this with them, because you have no idea that something could be connected to what they have going on. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will catch you guys next Tuesday. Have a great night.